Oh.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Ground Zero Podcast. I'm Rob.
And I'm Chad.
And this is the only podcast with a 100% unanimously approved optional pants policy.
Oh.
Let's
That's
go.
very true, because I'm not wearing pants underneath this table.
That's one of the beautiful things.
That's why you look at me all the time.
But I don't look down. You'll notice.
Oh, you're so looking down. Don't deny it, my friend. Just like prison, just for the stay, my friend.
Take it all in. Take it all in. No, I was thinking we could actually.
Well, you don't have to
they
wear
would
pants.
have no idea.
No pants.
If we weren't wearing pants on this podcast, they would not know, because this is a upper torso only type of broadcast.
Is there a pantless podcast out there?
I do not know, and do not Google it on our tablets.
We maybe should have named it that. The Pantless Podcast. No pants.
Welcome to the Pantless Podcast. I'm Pantless Rob. You're not going to follow with I'm Pantless Chad? I thought you were. I tossed it to you.
If I'm going pantless, I'm going completely naked from the waist down, my friend.
All right, dude. Okay. So one of the craziest things that came out of COVID was people working from home and then doing the Zoom calls, dressed business-like only from the waist up. Have you seen any of those videos?
I have seen those videos, my friend.
What were your thoughts? Like, honestly, somebody's like working for the state and they're doing their state job from home, and they're dressed only from, like, they've got pajama pants on, if at all, and fuzzy slippers, and then they've got like a blazer and a button-up shirt.
No respect.
I saw one where the gal, somebody started knocking on her door. She stood up. She had, like, I think there were little kids, like Wonder Woman underoos, like on.
Yeah.
I was like, what the heck?
That's what gives a bad name to the old work from home.
You think that's what gives a bad name to work from home?
Oh, that's there's lots of reasons, but that's a good start.
All right, so
I mean, listen, when we were growing up, this my generation. But anyways, you heard the saying, "Dress for the job you want."
Yeah,
right?
Dress for success.
Like, it gets you in a mental headspace of what you're going to do for that day and move forward.
Well, I think the corporate world has corporate dress policies for a reason, and then you have like your dress down Fridays, casual Fridays, that kind of thing. Blue Friday has become popular.
No pants Friday.
I don't think that's only us. And that's same with Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday though. And so I mean, so if you guys haven't figured out, one of the things that we want to talk about today is work from home. Okay,
the always controversial.
Work from home.
Work from our home, my friend.
Chad, you're a business owner. I'm a business owner.
Yep. Yeah. We have some viewpoints.
I've
got some thoughts
over the years. Yeah. Okay. Let's go back to when we were younger, since you brought it up, like the whole our generation thing.
A couple years ago.
It wasn't just work from home. It was telecommuting. There was like a fancy. Do you remember that?
Telecommuting.
And in the tech world, like, if you could get a telecommuting job that was 50% telecommuting, 50% in office, like, that was like, oh man, you struck gold.
Yeah.
And as a computer programmer, my job could have been done fully from home.
Yeah.
As long as I had access to the main computer, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays, though, there's all kinds of jobs. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody told me, hey, you can have a work from home barista job where you make coffee at home, and then DoorDash picks it up and takes it to the person. I don't know. Like, I don't know if that's a thing, but honestly, it wouldn't surprise me at this point.
I'm sure someone has tried it. There is no end to the human capability to be lazy.
So
talk to me about work from home. What's your opinion?
Okay.
Why don't you throw your thoughts on
I
work from home?
I had to write some stuff down, because before we get into it, let me just say I am 100% against work from home. As a business owner,
that's a solid
I do not
premise.
like it. I've had employees ask me about working from home.
Okay.
And I basically told them, if you can guarantee me 100% productivity and that it's better for the company, I will let you work from home. But until then, no, I bought you a desk. I pay rent here. I pay for the heat and utilities and office supplies and the toilet paper, and you can work from here.
You're going to bring on some hatred from our listeners, my friend. They are passionate about their work from home.
As an employee, you probably feel the opposite way. But let me tell you, from a business owner standpoint, I am anti work from home. How about you? Just to sum up, before we get into the whys, Where do you fall on this spectrum?
Well, you know how I am about this whole work from home. I think it is a scam. I think anyone who says they're working harder from home is full of because we all know what these work from homers are doing. We know that they are going to the gym. We know that they are babysitting their kids. And guess what, people? You had the kids. It is not your employer's responsibility to make sure that you can babysit them while at work, okay? It's also not your employer's responsibility to make sure that you can put a pot roast in or that you can do your laundry while you're at work. We are not just paying for your productivity, we are also paying for your time, okay? This is an argument I see all the time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm just as productive. First of all, you're not just as productive, so let me share you a little stat. Let me hit you with some numbers. Okay. So Fortune magazine did an article off of it, and the government did a study. And in the government, they found, okay, in this study, they found that work from homers actually worked 3.5 hours less every day on average than they did when they actually went into the office. Now I can already hear the screams and moans and gnashing of teeth about a bunch of people trying to convince me that they work harder from home. And while I will always say there's exceptions, right? You and I talk about it all the time.
Yeah.
Hey, you might actually win the lottery, but you don't plan on it for your retirement type thing. You work from homers are full. 98% of you are full. You are doing everything but. And we know you are doing everything but, and you are not being more productive by being work from home.
So you want to know something funny? In my research, I found that same article.
Oh, did you?
I found that same study in Fortune magazine. Somebody published results from that study, but this is what they stated. The study shows that remote and hybrid workers are 4% more productive than their in-office peers with better focus and fewer workplace interruptions. Because what they claimed is you just gave the stat for how many fewer hours they work. What they're claiming, though, is we're getting the same amount of work done in fewer hours. But let me tell you something.
What?
All that does is it uncovers the conspiracy of how much work isn't being done in the office.
Exactly.
So if you are 60% productive in the office and then you go home and you work 3 hours less and now you're only 62% productive because you worked fewer hours, it still means you wasted a lot of hours.
That study showed that employees decreased their time spent working and increased their leisure and sleeping time.
Oh my God.
Okay. I mean, literally, listen, if you're going to argue for work from home, at least let me respect you in the morning. Okay. And tell the truth. I like working from home because I get paid. I don't have any supervision. I get to do less work than I would do in the office. And I get to have a bunch of free time that I normally wouldn't have. And I get to claim that I'm work. So let me tell you a little story. Okay. As you know, my wife and I were on a vacation about 2 months ago down in California at Universal Studios. And we were riding the little studio tour. You know, the little bus van, whatever the hell it is.
The tram.
And we heard these people talking behind us, and they sounded like they were youngerish, you know, a guy and a girl. And he was asking her how her job was going. And she had said, hey, you know, the previous 2 or 3 that I had weren't great, but I really love the one I have right now. And he's like, well, why do you like it so much? And she's like, well, I'm working remote. And my boss doesn't track anything I do, so I only have to work like an hour or 2 a day. Wow. I get to go to movies and get paid on work time, and I get to get my nails done in work time. So I'm absolutely loving the job that I have. Okay, so I turned around and I looked to see who was talking. It was kind of who I thought it was. And I thought, this is what we've become. We become a society of people who want to do as little as possible to get as much as possible with no pride about our work ethic or our work product that we do, okay? And you determine that your happiness is based upon how little you can do and how much you can for your employer while doing it.
Well, it's kind of interesting because I don't have the numbers on like the ages generationally that are working from home these days, but pre-COVID in 2019, only 6% of U.S. employees worked remotely full-time, and with 24% working part-time remotely. But in 2024, approximately 22.8% of U.S. employees work remotely at least part-time.
Yeah.
And so some businesses are really fully embracing the work from home model, while others are calling employees back to the office now that COVID is over. And there's mixed results. And there are some employers that are really embracing this work from home thing, and they're saying things like, it's better morale and it's better longevity. They don't take days off, but I would argue
because every day is a day off.
If they're only doing 40% of the work, then it's like a half day every day.
And let me push back on you, my friend.
Yeah, push back on me.
You mentioned that, one of the studies showed or said that they, work from homers were actually 4% more productive.
And I believe they were skewing the numbers.
Well, yeah, but let me look at it. There aren't numbers. Yeah. And I will say this over and over again. There are very, very few true studies and surveys that will ever show that work from home is more productive. As I look through this study that you're looking at, okay, that wasn't a study. It wasn't a number done by anybody. It was self-reported.
Yes.
What do you think these dumb are going to say to you? You think they're going to say, hey, guess what? When I work from home, I only have to work 20% as much, and I get to sit there and do my clothes, and I get to sit there and watch over my kids, and I get to sit there and get my packages. I was literally watching on Reddit or reading on Reddit. One of these work from homers, and as far as one of their pros, was that their packages were no longer going to get stolen off of their porches by porch pirates.
Wow.
They like Amazon shopping habits are my problem as your employer. Are you kidding me? I mean, I tell you, I've looked at these studies and I've looked at, the work from homers and what they like to produce or what they like to put out there. And the reality is like 98% of it is all self-reported.
Absolutely.
Of course, they're going to report the best.
It's feelings-based science, quote unquote science. So fewer distractions was one of the things that they listed as why they should work from home. Because
there's more.
I have tried working from home and I've worked in the office.
Yes.
And listen, even being self-employed, I'm man enough to admit that I get easily distracted at home. It's easy to lay down on the couch and turn on Netflix and, you see a project that you started a month ago and go, I promised the wife I was going to finish that. You know what? I've got my tools right here. Let me just finish fixing this sink, You
are getting interrupted for everything. For example, like real estate and real estate agents or some of like the original work from homers, right?
Yeah.
Do you want to know what the success rate of a real estate agent over 5 years is?
What?
87% failure rate. You want to know why? Because those that don't come into an office on a consistent basis cannot hold together long enough to build their careers and build their business and get out of it. So let me make this really clear. And I'm looking at all you work from homers. You're full. You're full of so much. All you have to do is just come out to me and say, hey, I want the easy, lazy life, and I'm trying to do it with as little work as possible and make as much money as possible, and I will at least respect you. But don't sit there and tell me that you do work or you work harder or any of that over and over and over
again. So you're
again.
saying you would respect somebody that just flat out and came out and told the truth and said, listen, I'd rather work from home because it's easier to pretend to be busy.
I have a friend and his wife works for the state.
Yeah.
Freely comes out and admits and says, hey, I get paid 8 hours a day. I only work about 2. And it's an awesome job because I get paid for 8 hours and I get all the benefits and everything else like that. I respect her. You want to know why I respect her? Because she's being honest and not being full of
But I kind of want some of my tax money back if she works for the state.
You want to know something? You want to know something? This is the way I look at it. At least she's being honest. She can keep it.
Yeah.
I want to take it from all these other people who just lie off their and try to claim they're being taken advantage of and everything else like that.
They did a worldwide survey, and of all the respondents, 91% of employees worldwide said that they would prefer to work fully or almost fully remotely.
Of course.
91%.
We'd all love to. I'd also like to be paid to be a professional wakeboarder, but that ain't happening.
So it makes me wonder, though, what you said earlier about, perhaps it's a generational thing. If 91% of all the respondents, that includes people our generation or maybe even the previous generation from us that are still working. I think that 91% covers a broad age range. So I'm wondering if it's a cultural shift more so than a generational thing.
Everyone thinks they're a victim these days. They think they are a victim of their employer. They think they are a victim of their spouses. They think they are a victim of their friends. They think they're a victim of what political party they're a part of.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks they're a victim. But I will say this, okay? Your time is over, people. Your work from home is going away because company after company after company and government after government after government, okay, they are pulling it from you. So those of you who are on work from home, we know that those opportunities are fading. We know that those people are some of the first people to be let go of and fired when the time comes to minimize your workforce. And everybody from Amazon to AT&T to Citigroup to Dell to Disney, right? Goldman Sachs, HSBC, JP Morgan Chase, Manchester United, Rockstar, Salesforce, Tesla. I can go on and on and on. X. Okay,
Manchester
all of them.
United?
All of them
pulled
are
their work from home policy? You cannot kick the soccer ball in from home. You have to be on the pitch, my friend.
All of it. Okay, they are all pulling people in. And let me make this really clear to you. Okay. Yeah. So for all of you, and this is an argument I hear all the time, right? You probably hear this too. Oh, these employers just want us to come in because they have to justify the rents and the office leases and everything else that they have, right?
Yeah.
Let me make this really clear to you to do some math, because these are definitely people who have never owned a business, never put everything on the line, and never risked everything in order to get a business going. Regardless of whether or not I'm paying for a rent or a mortgage on office space, if I am getting, as you claim, 20, 30, 40, 50% more work productivity out of you by not having you in the office, I'm not going to have you in the office. Even if I'm paying for it, it doesn't matter. Why would I use your heads? Why would I have you come into the office and make 20, 30, 40, 50% less? Right? My expenses are still the same.
The proof is in the pudding, I say.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think all things being even, I mean, there's arguments on the other side. I'm not saying I agree with them. I just want to voice them, though.
Voice them up, my friend.
So across the board, companies are calling people back and they're getting mixed results, right? And I think some of it is that you can't compare today's office workers that have had a taste of working from home because they're begrudgingly going back into the office, right?
Of course. They had a good life.
So some workers are saying, well, my employees just aren't as productive and blah, 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 blah. But some companies have started to reduce salaries for remote positions with pay cuts ranging from 5 to 20% if you're working remotely. And then those employees, they argue, listen, you're saving costs by us not being there. We're not using water or electricity, turning up the heat or anything like that. And so because you're saving money, you should actually pay us more to work from home. And I'm like, wow, not only are you less productive, but you now want to get paid more?
People who say that are people who have never ran a business. They have no idea what they're talking about. Yeah. Okay. If you're not in the office and these utilities and these expenses, right?
Yeah.
We're still paying them, period. The office still has to have heat and electricity, even if you're not in it.
That is true.
Now, it may be a little bit less, but it's not significantly less. So if you think it's like a game changer, but you're not in the office and now all of a sudden I'm saving so much money on heat and electrical and all this other good stuff, you're an idiot. But this is the problem, my friend, and I'll say this over and over again. Until you have started a business and you have put everything on the line in order to grow that business. And you know my story, right? As I was growing my business, at one point, I had to make a decision whether or not because the business wasn't making enough money, I had to make a decision whether to stick with the business, okay, and keep the money available to keep the doors open in hopes that the business would make enough money, or shut the doors, okay, and pay my personal expenses. So I made the decision to get rid of the house, to get rid of those expenses, to get rid of all that, and I literally slept on the floor of my office and slept in parking lots in my car to get that extra year plus for my business to have the space to be able to grow. Okay. Yeah. So I literally was homeless to give time for my business to be able to grow and to be able to start flourishing. Yeah. So, but the problem is you have a bunch of people who risk nothing. Okay. They risk nothing. They just want to be paid for 8 hours of work, whether they do 1 or 2 or 8, and they want to get paid as much as possible. And they have risked nothing. They have not risked their homes. They've not risked their marriages. They've not risked their relationships. They've not risked their kids. They've done none of that for, what is it? I think it's almost like 80% of all businesses fail in 5 years. Okay.
Something like that. Yeah.
Why don't you take that risk? Why don't you actually have to pay out of your own pocket an employee and see how you feel about that person sitting at home, doing the clothes, putting the pot roast in, and babysitting their kids? Which, by the way, just because you have kids, let me tell you this, the world does not stop for you. Okay. They may be the center of your world. They are not the center of the world. So get together, people.
All right, we just lost all the moms out there. Thanks for joining the podcast. Well,
it's still the
see when you
truth.
come around.
You can love your kids and they can be very, very important. But this idea that the entire world, circles around you and revolves around your kids or their needs.
It's worse than that. Okay, so my wife is a general manager of a pretty large national chain. Okay, yes. I don't want to get her in trouble. Okay, but listen, she has employees calling in for a mental health day, not for themselves, for their pet. I can't come to work today because my dog is struggling mentally. And I'm like,
so awesome.
Seriously? Seriously? I have never in my life heard of that before. And she's like, my hands are tied.
Yeah, it's rough, man. Rough.
My salamander is having a personal identity crisis, so I've got to stay home today and feed him some flies.
There is no end to the creativity of a human being to get out of work.
Oh my gosh. I just can't believe it.
But then that's the thing though. Once that business takes off and starts making money, or that business makes money, who do you know? Who's the first with hands out? Like they're the one who started it.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
Oh my goodness.
It is literally them. They will have their hands out. Like they're the ones who made the billions of dollars that year. That they were indispensable. And this is the other thing, okay, people? Learn you are not indispensable. None of us are, okay? Under any circumstances, we can all be replaced.
I had a younger employee, and I felt bad because I liked the employee, and they were coming up on their annual review, and they basically told me that they wanted to get a raise, a pretty hefty, like a $5 an hour raise, and benefits.
So what'd you tell them?
I said I can't do that. I just cannot do that. And there's a couple of reasons. Number one, they didn't have years and years and years of experience in the industry to justify that kind of a pay, and that's a huge pay jump. They also wanted to be able to work remotely from home. And I'm like, the evidence is not there that you would be as productive. And as a matter of fact, I had evidence to the contrary, right? And so while I liked them, I had to say, I can't do that. And they said, well, then I have to look for other work. And so they had to look for other work. But then I heard through the grapevine that they went to another company and wanted to work from home. And that boss too said, no, I don't do work from home. And so they're in an office working. And so, I mean, the perception, I think, of young people, and I don't want to be like, I'm an old guy, you're young. No, it's not just a generational thing, but I've just noticed that there's a lot of young people who seem to have this entitlement. This is something I want. And, when it came down to it, one of the reasons that they wanted this pay raise is they're like, well, I'm getting married next year and I've got to pay for my wedding.
So you are responsible for their life choices.
I mean, I want to be generous, and I like building a nice family atmosphere with my business. But there comes a point where, you got to send the kids packing and say, hey, you got to stand on your own. I mean,
I agree with you.
I was just incredulous. I mean, it was do you
still have a relationship with this person, or have they just kind of
we do
faded into the?
I mean, it's not the relationship that it once was, and add to that, like I basically had to tell them your performance was one of the biggest hindrances to me even making that the decision, even being able to consider offering it. If you showed up early, ready to work every time, and you stayed late, and every time we needed somebody to do something, like you're like, hey, I got this, boss. For somebody like that who was just all in for the company, and I really felt was indispensable, I might give him a $5 an hour raise.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, that was not the case.
Yeah.
That was not the case.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll be honest. There were instances where I had this employee clocking in their car in the parking lot before they even got into the building.
So let me enlighten you a little bit more, okay, with my argument here, because there's some new stats, okay? And this was self-reported, okay? It was anonymous, but it was self-reported from work from homers. Okay? And they are homers, by the way. So anyways, 58% of them admitted to doing household chores when they were supposed to be on work hours.
Wow.
49% of them spent time on social media. 47% reported that they were watching television. 30% reported taking a nap. That's right there. Another 27% say that they go to the gym or exercise while during their work hours that they're being paid to work. They walk the dog. They play video games. What percentage do you think actually reported that they were having sex on work hours?
69?
Well, very nicely done. I have respect for you. I have a little more respect for you. 15% of them were having sex on work hours.
Wow.
Okay, and they admitted to this. These are self-reported numbers. Okay,
that's called family planning right there.
And then you have this lady who did this survey, and then she's this a lecturer, a college professor, and as we all know, what's the saying? If you can't do it successfully, you teach. And she says that there's no problem with any of this because she says because they're still getting their work done, and so just because they're not doing it in a traditional way. She says there's no issue with people running errands or doing other tasks during their work hours as long as the work is still done. Again, this is another who's never owned a business because when you own a business, things have to happen. There has to be a synergy. Okay. So for example, if you and I were employed, I can't have you getting your work done at 8 a.m. and then I wait until 8 p.m. Okay. And you've been waiting for 8 a.m. for my work product to come in so that you can then move on to the next step. Because, right, we are all interconnected, right? Yeah. All completely interconnected and everywhere. And we saw this. We saw this when COVID happened, and we saw how the supply chains, et cetera, were all interconnected. When one part went down, all the shortages, et cetera. So just because you think you've done a great job because you're getting your work done at 10 at night, well, guess what? Everybody else on your team, all the dominoes don't fall. So let me tell you, there's I believe her name is Jimma Dale. Okay, I'd love to have her on. Another one person I'd like to bring on. You evidently have never owned business and never had to have your entire team working in synergy with each other to successfully get to an end point. Oh, as long as you get your work done at some time in the 24 hours of that day, you're all fine. Well, what's everyone else doing? They have to wait for you to get your done.
I think it's a little different when you're a contractor and you have a deadline and your work doesn't depend on anybody else and you're just going to get it done. But, could you imagine if some industries kind of took this attitude, like home builders?
Yeah.
Right? Could you imagine if the general contractors hired a bunch of individuals and the plumber says, "Yeah, doesn't matter what I do during the day as long as I get that pipe laid by the end of the project." And the carpenter's like, "Well, I can't."
Well, evidently, some people are laying some pipe. On this end of things, 15% of them, 15% are pipe layers on work hours.
Oh wow!
So
good one.
I'm just saying the stats, my friend.
The stats, yeah. But I mean, could you imagine if you contracted somebody to build a house and they said we're going to build you your house by June 1st, but then the plumbers and the electricians and the framers and the concrete
these
layers,
same people would be so pissed.
The siders can't do anything until you get the walls up.
Exactly.
I mean, that would never happen.
And the person who's laying the foundation was like, "Yeah, I know I didn't get it done until 10 at night. And I know everyone was waiting at 8 a.m. to start framing and everything, but I got my work done." I mean, it's just freaking ridiculous. Like she says here at this time, work does not have to take place at a specific time or at the same time as other people are working to be good work.
Wow.
Are you how stupid can you get? Your work has to be done so that other people can then go do their work. It's building a foundation.
Yeah.
And the fact that you have idiots like this that are backing up people and saying this, and then she says, well, no one ever worked in office truly believes that people are productive all day there either. Guess what? No one's arguing with that. But guess what? At least they aren't laying pipe during their work hours. Well, hopefully they're not laying pipe during their work hours.
I asked an employee to get back to a client today. Like, I need you to email this client today and let them know this is our status on their project. I got a call from that client the next morning. The least you can do is get back to me. And I went 72 hours unread. And I think I'm just done with you guys. I love you, but I can't use your company anymore.
Of course.
And I said, you got an email yesterday. And they're like, I did not. I waited all day, didn't hear back from you. The employee sent the email from home at like 11 o'clock at night. And when I asked them about it, they said, you said today. And it wasn't yet midnight when I remembered and I sent that email out from home.
And this is why people have to work from the office, because when you walk out of your office and you go to somebody and say, hey, I need you to call John and take care of this, they then call John right then and there. And it's a lot easier for you to be able to confirm what they've done and to be able to check up with what they've done. Just because I actually do something doesn't mean you have the next 24 hours whenever you feel like it in order to be able to get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. One of the biggest buzzwords that just kills me, and it's because buzz phrase, I guess. It's because on one side, when you look at it from a certain perspective, I agree with it. But the way that it's being used and tossed around out there, I think is so wrong, especially by the work from home community, is work-life balance. In this fight for mental health for our employees. Now, don't get me wrong. Mental health is very important.
I agree with you. There's definitely a balance of things.
Absolutely, right?
But I think that balance may have switched.
We have learned a lot more about mental health, but I think that it's gotten to the point where a lot of employees hear a term and they just throw it out there and they're like, oh, I just need a mental health day. Like for what? Well, I heard that such and such took a mental health day. And, I said, well, such and such's grandma died that morning after they came into work and they were going to be useless. And so it was best that they just went home and they took a mental health day. So they got paid for that day, even though they didn't do any work that day. But that's part of our compensation agreement. You get a certain number of days that you can just take and go, okay, you know what? I need a personal day today. I don't need to really know why, but it has to qualify if it's health related as a mental health day.
Well,
right?
yeah. I mean, if you're going through something where, your wife is cheating on you or someone's laying pipe or if you're, your dog died or you're struggling with depression or things like that, legit, right?
We walk through that, right?
100% legit stuff. And I do agree that versus when we were, growing up as youngsters, that these things are looked at. But on the flip side, people will always take advantage and abuse these things. Yeah. I think this is a reason for them to not be responsible also.
So when I hear work-life balance, and in the ministry, this is huge because a lot of pastors don't have good work-life balance.
Well, I can understand
that. When I'm talking about good, healthy work-life balance, what it means is during your 9 to 5 or whatever your actual work hours are, during your 40 to 50 hours a week that you put in as an employee, when you're at work, you work hard. Then you leave it at work and you go home and you are able to love on your family appropriately and leave work at home. So you have margin. The weekends, if you're a Monday through Friday 9 to 5er, the evenings and the weekends are yours to do family stuff. So don't throw off the balance by constantly working till midnight. So that's healthy work-life balance. But when I hear people that are proponents of work from home, when they talk about, oh, we need to have good work-life balance, I'm working too hard. I talked to a young person who felt like putting in 40 hours a week was just way too much. I can't handle this. And I was like, 40 is the minimum. The minimum.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
And everybody's built differently. And so I wonder at some point, when did the generation stop teaching the next generation that this is the minimum? And where did they learn this? Like,
I think, my friend, when we started kind of teaching everyone that they were being taken advantage of, and everybody thought that they had more value. And I don't mean this as a person, but people like to overvalue their skill levels, right? With all of this, everyone, and a lot of us do it, right? We think we're worth more than what we actually are. Okay.
Well,
and then the market, the market adjusts, right? The market adjusts for you as far as what your skills are actually worth with that type of stuff.
One of my first jobs was teaching computer programming to adults who now had to learn computer programming in order to stay relevant in the marketplace.
Yeah.
It was rough, dude. But there were some people who just kind of came to the realization, like, the world's going to pass me by if I don't learn some of this stuff.
Yeah. You got to be flexible. You got to be always learning. How's your work-life balance?
If I'm honest, my work-life balance is terrible because I'm a business owner, though.
Yeah.
As a business owner, like you said earlier, I'm putting in the hours. Hey, listen, my employees don't realize this, but when they go home at the end of the day, if there's anything around this business that didn't get done or whatever, I'm responsible for that.
Yeah.
Right. And so when they mess up, I can't take back the dollars that I paid them for the messed up work that they did.
Yeah. So you got to go clean it up.
So either they have to redo it and I have to pay them then double to do the job that they should have done the first time, or I have to do the work myself, putting in more of my time that they're taking away from my family. They don't realize that when I choose to be generous, like it's not only because the company had a really good month. Sometimes the company has a bad month and I still choose to be generous, and that comes out of my pocket, dude.
Yeah, you do everything, especially as a small business owner. You do everything from cleaning the and really, truly,
I've done that
to taking out the garbages, to having to make up shortfalls and payroll and all that other good stuff.
That was the other thing I was going to say. When you don't have enough to make payroll, do you have some sugar daddy that comes over and says, "Hey, Chad, here's $4,500 to make payroll this month"?
I am not good enough for a sugar daddy, my friend.
Well, I don't have a sugar daddy either, or a mama. We're now accepting applications, however.
I have neither.
Yeah, and so it comes out of our pocket. So we're making these sacrifices only to have people turn around and go, yeah, whatever, but I want to work from home and be 40% less productive.
Well, and listen, I always understand where it's easy to look at people who are in the C-suite, as they like to say, and say, hey, they get paid too much money, etc. And in some cases, they very well maybe get paid too much money. But on the flip side, let's look at their journey of getting there. And what are your skill levels to be able to be in that position yourself? And normally, when I look at people, these same people who come to me and say, oh, my rent's late, or I haven't, because this is what I do for people, right?
Yeah.
Well, like in my business, if someone's having financial problems, we not only try to help them out, but we also have to look at not the symptom, but also the actual issue. So I will sit down and I make them bring in their bank accounts. Now, they don't have to, but if they want my help, they're going to, right? And then I look through their bank accounts of what they're spending on, okay? So I had this happen, okay, recently. And here's some of the things that were on the bank account. Now remember this: utility is getting turned off, okay? Behind on rent by like 90 days, okay? They are paying for, well, listen to this. There were 6 times where they got hydration IVs, okay, from their nights out drinking. Their bar tab was almost $600 from going out, okay? So as you start going through all of these things, a lot of times it's their own fault. But the easiest solution is someone just needs to pay me more money. Not, hey, I need to build more skills so that I'm more valuable. Not, hey, I need to work harder. The easiest solution is someone's taking advantage of me and someone needs to give me more money.
Well, Chad, I think it's about that time.
What? Are we already at the end? Oh,
nope.
Oh, gotcha.
It was one of those buttons.
A lot of we can do, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I think the question that I want to know is, and we talked about that poll that said some companies are paying work from home employees less. So the bomb drop of the week this week is going to be: do you think that for the equivalent job, a work from home employee should be paid less because they're most likely going to be less productive, right? So we want to hear from you guys.
Can I say what mine would have been? Because I like mine.
Yeah. What would you want?
My bomb drop was going to be work from homers, rock stars, or taking advantage of the situation. We'll go with yours though.
Okay, we'll go with mine. Thanks, Chad. Hey, as we do with our bomb drop, we always check out the bomb drop from a couple weeks ago.
How do we do with that?
Give you guys some time. So episode 1.06 bomb drop.
1.06, huh?
Yep.
Boy, you might be a keeper.
Yeah, this is episode 1.08.
You and your beautiful bald head might be a keeper in my life.
Thank you. If you're looking for a sugar daddy, man, it's not going to be me. All right. So a couple episodes ago, we talked about Sean Puffy Combs and all the allegations against him. Wow. And our bomb drop of the week was P. Diddy or P. Didn't he?
You were so proud of yourself on this one. You're still proud of yourself saying it now.
It's punny. I mean, it's a good wordplay. But you know what, though? It was good enough that once again, 2 weeks in a row.
2 weeks in a row.
100% of the listeners agreed with us.
No one went against us?
P. Did he?
No. No one thinks he's innocent.
No one thinks he's innocent.
No one thinks he's innocent.
So he's innocent until proven guilty, but in the kangaroo court of Ground Zero podcasters, we all think he's guilty. We all know he's guilty.
That the audience and ourselves got this one correct. I think we did. Old Diddy Combs. I don't see him getting out. I just don't. I think he's going to be sharing a cell with what's that other guy? What's that producer? Weinstein.
Him and Weinstein.
Yeah, until Weinstein
yeah.
kicks off.
Being bad boys for life.
Well, you know, it's off that. Remember that song with Mace that he did?
Oh my goodness, he did a lot of songs.
Like like when we were like in college, like he did a lot of songs with like Mace.
Yeah, I think I have that cassette or CD. I don't remember.
He's probably singing a different tune these days.
Nobody knows. Oh, he's got a cup and he just
like I said.
Oh man.
So they all agreed with us. Bad guy, did bad things, and needs to spend some bad time in jail.
40 years from now, you think some young buck's gonna wind up in prison and P. Diddy's like he's gonna be like his voice has gotten deeper and more southern drawl.
Oh, isn't he gonna he'd have to be like 90 years old.
Hey, young blood.
He's gotta be in his 50s.
Let me tell you, young blood, you ain't gonna survive around here like that.
I don't think Diddy's lasting that long. He doesn't strike me as, once the money runs out, he doesn't strike me as someone who's got the prison survival gene.
Listen here, young blood. If you want to survive, you better put that soap on a rope. All right, young blood.
I'm the bad one.
Young blood.
And I'm the bad one.
All right, hey, listen, we want to hear from you guys. You guys have heard enough from us. So, hey, check us out. You can always email us at thegroundzeropodcast@gmail.com. You can check us out on Instagram. We're at Ground Zero Podcast. On TikTok, we are The Ground Zero Podcast. If you are on X, aka Twitter, we are.
Why do people always say that, by the way?
What?
X, aka Twitter. We all know X is Twitter now. Why do we have to say the
whatever,
Twitter
because
part?
I like Twitter. I like Twitter.
It's been X for like a year and a half, 2 years, whatever it has been.
But listen, I am not going to see Malcolm Twitter. AKA I'm going to see Malcolm Twitter. X. Okay. Either way, on that platform, we are GRNDZRO Podcast, Ground Zero Podcast. And you can always check us out on Facebook.com/Ground Zero Podcast. That's all I've got.
I think you did it.
Thanks for listening.
You did it.
I'm Rob.
And I'm Chad.
And this is the Ground Zero Podcast.
Home.
Let's go put some pants on.
I don't own pants.